Sueur.
Fighting in the UFC is where I've always wanted to be. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like I'm the best I've ever been, and I can't wait to go out there and prove that. Either I am who I say I am, or I'm not. Either way, we get to figure that out very soon. Got a lot of wins, got a few losses. I'm not worried about any of those shortcomings or losses of my past. I'm only looking toward the future and the exciting opportunities I have in front of me and the ultimate proving grounds, the UFC.
Obviously, you don't know if you are going to fight at UFC 254 and which fighter would you face, but which fighter would you rather test yourself against, Khabib or Justin?
It's always been the number one guy, and this has always been the question that gets asked to me all the time. Who's your dream matchup? My dream matchup is whoever the number one guy is in the world. And I sat down with the UFC, and I sat across the table from Hunter Campbell, and I looked at him and I said, listen, I have not been training to fight the guy that I signed on the dotted line for the last 11 years. I've always been training for your champion, for the number one guy in the world. Back in the day, it was Benson Henderson and Frankie Edgar. And then all the way through the Rafael Dos Anjoses and the Anthony Pettises, and then into the Eddie era, and then the Conor era, and then now the Khabib era. I've been training to fight those guys since day one. So for me, it's always been, who's the number one lightweight in the world? The number one lightweight in the world is Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's looked as close to as unbeatable as any fighter ever has in the history of the sport. So that's the guy I want to test myself against. That's the guy who it excites me to stand in front of. That's the guy who it excites me to stand across the cage from. So he's the number one guy. I want that number one spot. Either way, it's hard to talk about this scenario without realizing that this is bad luck happening for the UFC and this main event falling off and then me stepping in. But if I had it my way, if a fighter does pull out, I would like for it to be Gaethje, so I can fight Khabib, be the number one lightweight in the world, the night of October 24th.
Do you remember the day when Khabib won the championship belt against Gaethje on April 7, 2018? Where were you back then, and were you watching this fight live?
I was watching the fight live. I've always been interested in Khabib Nurmagomedov as an athlete. From day one, when he first stepped into that UFC octagon, I knew he was a special talent. I knew he was a special competitor. I knew he would eventually be the champion, be the number one lightweight in the world. He's always been a guy I've had my eye on. He's a guy who I've at times emulated and tried to pull things from his style. He's also a guy that I've trained for the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 years to make sure, okay, I need to have my game in a place where I can beat that guy. And now I possibly get that opportunity. I think I was at home. I was having a party. I was having people over for the fights, and we were watching it. And I remember being in the room with numerous family members and friends, and all of us saying, okay, that's our guy. And he's probably going to be holding that belt for a very long time. Possibly whenever I step foot into the UFC octagon for the first time, I bet he's probably still holding the title. Here we are, fast forward 2-3 years later, and that is the case. So now I get that opportunity on October 24th, possibly, if not October 24th, sometime in 2021.
So did you think back then, how would you do in this fight against Khabib when you were watching him fighting Gaethje?
Yes, because I've always, I've always, as I said, admired his style. He has a very ground game dominant style. He lets it be known exactly what his style is going to be. He's going to come forward. He's going to put pressure up on you. He's going to push you up against the cage. He's going to pick you up. He's going to put you down, and he's going to hold you there for 25 minutes if you let him, or until he gets the finish. So that's a part of my game that I've always said, I think I have the right recipe to beat a Khabib. Now, Khabib Nurmagomedov is the best lightweight in the world. As the records stand, as the rankings stand, he is the number one lightweight in the world. But I believe I have the recipe to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. I believe I am the dark horse of the division. I immediately went from outsider to insider to dark horse to champion in the next 12 months, and that's what I'm going to do. And whether I have to beat Khabib or I beat Gaethje or I beat someone else, I will be UFC lightweight champion in the next
You come into the organization as a big name in the sport. Dan Hooker and Paul Felder already threw their names into the hat to welcome you to the octagon. You're currently the alternate to this fight in UFC 254. Please walk me through the journey that started back in '09, back in the Ozarks, down into this instance of Fight Island. Do you believe you're crossing the UFC's door at the right time?
I am. I think this is the perfect time for the perfect opportunity, and I am in the perfect spot to be thrown into the mix. You know, when you talk about 2009, so for those that don't know, I graduated college in May of 2009. I fought my first fight in August of 2009 down at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Tyron Woodley was my manager, training partner, coach, cornerman. We stayed at a little Marriott down at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Got my first win. But even at that point, I still didn't know that mixed martial arts was going to be my career. You know, if you would have asked me a year prior, or even asked me at that moment, hey, are you going to do this for the next 10, 11 years, make a great living for your family, make a great platform to try to inspire and motivate people and move people with what you do, I would have said, I don't really know if that's going to happen. Here we are, 26 fights later, 11 years later, and I feel like all of it was culminating to this moment, to this opportunity, and I couldn't be more happy. You know, I think, and I even told Dana White this whenever we spoke, I said, hey, 2 years ago, I don't think I would have been ready. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready to be the superstar, to be the man that you need me to be for this organization, to be the champion that you need me to be for this organization. But right now, in 2020, where I'm at mentally, physically, and spiritually, where my skill set is, where my confidence is, where my purpose is, this is exactly where I need to be, and I have no doubt that my feet are planted firmly on solid ground, exactly where I need to be for this moment and this opportunity. It's been a long ride. A lot of ups, a couple downs, a lot of pain, a ton of awesome memories that I've made. And now I still think the best is yet to come. My best days are out ahead of me, and I'm extremely excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, and a body of work that speaks tons about the kind of fighter you are.
Thank you.
In terms of the fight, of the impending fight, would you prefer to face? Who do you prefer to face if your time to step up comes? Would you be more interested in the chaos that Justin provides, or would you be willing to test yourself among one of the biggest lightweights in history?
I've always said that the number one lightweight in the world is always my number one choice. When people say who's your dream matchup, it's never a legend of the past. It's never anybody that doesn't hold the UFC lightweight belt, the number one guy in the world. So for the last number of years, it's been Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's why I have spoken on the subject on him as much as I have. So ideally, it's a fight against Khabib, but no matter what, the Chandler versus Gaethje fight has to happen somewhere down the line. He's a guy who's on record who said, I want to make my opponents see their own blood. I want to engage in car crashes with them. And there's no better dance partner than me to go get into a bunch of car crashes in front of millions of people in the UFC octagon. I respect both men as competitors. I respect both men as athletes. They right now are my number one, Khabib, and number two options for the two fights that I want, but Khabib would definitely have to be number one.
I saw your wrestling sessions with Kamaru, and they are like unbelievable. So what would you say to the people that haven't seen you wrestle?
Well, a lot of those people don't know what Division I NCAA wrestling is. They don't understand what folk style and freestyle wrestling is. They see what Khabib does and his dominant manifestation of grappling and pushing guys up against the cage, and they call it wrestling. Khabib's mixed martial arts wrestling and sambo is extremely exceptional. It's exquisite. It's as close to unbeatable as we've seen of any style matchup, not just in the lightweight division, but across all divisions in the UFC. And but what I bring to the table is a perfect mixture of mixed martial arts, striking tenacity, mixing it up with wrestling, being able to pick a guy up, put him down, and being able to get up if Khabib takes you down, and being able to hold Khabib down if I take him down. That's what I believe. You know, I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think I'm correct in my assessment of my skills, and I hope I get the opportunity to prove that in the very near future.
Sueur.